So right here today, we have a loose tile, and I can tell by putting my hand on and tapping. And this tile is the loosest. We'll feel around to see what we've got going on, but the way I'm going to take this out is with a hardy backer scoring tool right here and a grout removal tool. It's a carbide tip triangle tool. Use a combination of those. This is particularly soft grout. The reason it's cracking is probably twofold. One, the tile is not adhered properly, and two, the grout was not mixed well. So what I'm doing is riding along the side here. We want to make sure that there's no adhesion between the tiles when we pull this one up. So I'm basically breaking the tension between the tiles so that when this comes up, it doesn't inadvertently put stress on the tiles around it or crack. We're going to lift up on this. Now, whenever you're lifting a tile like this, you always have there's always a case that part of it might be adhered and the other part might not be adhered. And then the tile can, of course, crack when you try to lift it. So what I'm going to do here is put this right here so that we don't chip the other tile. And this is just going to cooperate really well for me today. We're going to lift this up. And what we're seeing on the back of this tile right here is that none of the thinset mortar made it into the backs of these cells. And this is, you can actually see where it's adhered to the hardy backer or the Durarock, that it adhered quite well. So it bonded really well to the substrate, but it didn't bond really well to the tile. There's two things that could have been done to prevent this. One, if this had been wiped down previous to putting it on the floor, it would have gotten a layer of dust off the back of the tile. But the other thing that you should always be doing when you're putting down tile is what they call buttering the tile, which is pushing the thinset into these cells before you lay the tile into the notched thinset on the floor. And that ensures that all of this is filled, and then when you put it down, it adheres perfectly. So you can see right there that the thinset didn't even adhere to the tile. And that's it. So one other thing, what we'll do is take this thinset, scrape this off of the substrate, butter this properly, and then put this back down correctly. And that's that. So we will check these other tiles to see if they're loose as well. The one thing that you have to be careful of when you're doing this is making sure that the tile is not adhered well at all, because if it's adhered in 50% and there's a corner where there's like a pocket where it's not adhered, you could easily crack that tile, and sometimes there's no way around that. But that's what it is. So there we are, loose tiles on the floor and why they weren't set properly. Thanks. This is another area where there were loose tiles, and in total 5 came up. And I want to take a look at this substrate to see what's right and what's wrong. The first thing that I see here, if we come in closely, we will notice that this is a Durarock substrate. This was nailed into the wood substrate that's underneath. And these nails right here really are not as good as screws. They have special screws for hardy backer board and Durarock, and you're supposed to put those in every 6 inches. There's a couple of other things that I've noticed here. They really didn't clean the backs of the tiles off. You can actually see where there's a sticker here, pricing sticker. You can barely make that out. But they also seem to use cardboard pieces at the corners to level the tiles out. You'll see the cardboard here and there, which is a first First time I've seen something like that. But all in all, you'll notice that the thinset was not evenly applied. There are areas where it is light, and then there were areas where it was making full contact on the back of the tile. And you can sort of see the impression of the tile in there. And again, that did not bond to the tiles at all. There was nothing on the backs of the tile when they came up. So all in all, this could have been screwed down with the proper screws. The thinset was not applied evenly, and for whatever reason, they were using cardboard in the corners to. It's my best guess is to level out the tile. So that's kind of what's going on with the substrate. We're going to demonstrate on the one tile that we pulled up how to get this thinset up. There are two ways that you can really go about doing it. You can scrape this, which is pretty laborious, or you can actually just cut this out and replace the substrate.